Hi guys, Natalie Fleming here. Welcome back to our weightlifting series. So our last video, we touched on deadlifting. Today we're gonna talk about squatting. Okay, so we're gonna talk about a couple different kinds of squatting. So we're gonna start with goblet squat. Then from here, you'll progress up and do a back squat, okay? So when you're learning squat, I always have the kids first start with goblet squat, and then once they master that, that's whenever they can put the bar on their back, okay? So when we goblet squat, there's multiple ways of doing this. I'm gonna show you a couple. So when we go, goblet squat would be where you're holding the weight in front of you and then squatting down from there, okay? So today I'm gonna start with goblet squatting. Okay, I got a dumbbell and I'm gonna squat down to the ball here just so you can make sure getting depth, okay? So first thing when you're squatting, okay, we wanna think when we get set up, okay, we're gonna go feet here, prefer whatever's comfortable to you. Okay, we don't wanna be way wide and super, super narrow. So think when you get set for your squat, think be in a position where you feel strongest, okay? So for me, I'm typically about shoulder width apart with my feet, okay? Then you wanna think, we've touched on this with the deadlifting video, with your feet, okay? So whenever you're squatting, you can still take your shoes off. So whenever I squat, I take my shoes off. I have a lot of the kids take their shoes off. So with your feet, again, we want to think spread our toes real wide. Think press through the big toe, the little toe, and the heel. So think anytime we're trying to engage muscles, it starts from our feet up. Okay, so we're here thinking all three contact points driving through the ground. Okay, then we'll hold this weight right in front of our chest. Okay, now from here, we also talked about that pressure in our belly. So when we think about that pressure in our belly, we want to think stick our belly out really big. Okay, that's what is stabilizing our whole midsection. Okay, now the next thing would be when we are squatting, we want to think squeeze our glutes, squeeze our booty before we even go down. Okay, so now again, that is activating every muscle in our lower body. So again, when we do any lift, we want to think about what muscle you are trying to engage and make yourself squeeze that muscle 100% as you're going through the motion. Okay? So now finally, last big main point when you're squatting, think about your pelvis. So you want to keep your pelvis tucked underneath you. So whenever I say that, pretend like you have a belt buckle on and you don't want the belt buckle to rotate downward. So you see from here, my pelvis rotated basically in a forward tilt. Okay, we want our pelvis to stay tucked underneath us. So again, if we got that belt buckle on, you see I've rotated upward where it's facing straight ahead of me. Okay, so now for the goblet squat, we'll be here, pressing through the toes, squeeze my booty, and then from here, pressure in the belly, think squat down, slow and controlled, all the way to the ball, and then back up, okay? So again, it'd be here, get nice and low to that ball, back up. So that's a really, really good starting point. So that way kids can feel where to get to. They can feel where they're at in that squatting position. So with that, you can also think when you're going, you guys can put a band around your knees, okay? Doesn't have to be a super, super strong band, but the band allows you to feel keeping your knees in a good position. So think anytime we're doing any kind of a lift, squatting, deadlifting, lunging, okay, we'll get to the lunges, the Bulgarians, all that fun stuff at some point. We never ever want our knees going inward, okay? So this band makes you have to think, push the knees apart, and makes you have to stay in that good position, and then it just makes you be able to feel that position, okay? So if you put the band around the knees, okay? You can see from here, so set up the exact same way, that band around the knees, then squat down, back up. So everything's the exact same thing here with engaging the muscles, getting set before you go, and then going through the motion, okay? So there, that band just works on keeping the knees aligned where they need to be. You'll feel the glutes engaging more with that band around the knees. Okay, so that is another great way to go through the squatting motion as you're learning the movement. Okay, so now one that I like to use, if you have a kid or if you have a little bit of mobility issues and you seem like you can't get depth, okay? Can't get quite as low. You can go a heels elevated squat. So I like to use 25-pound plates. So again, you can use one plate or you can use two, just depending on how wide you stand your feet, okay? So with this, you'll just put the plates right next to each other. And then, so you saw I put my shoes back on. So I always put the shoes back on when I do the heels elevated ones, just because it hurts my feet standing on the plates without them, okay? So you can still get yourself to engage your toes, engage your feet with the shoes on. Just have to kind of focus and make yourself do it. Okay, so this is what the setup would look like with the heels up on the plate, okay? So you literally just put the heels up on the plate, think you're still pressing big toe, little toe, heel through the surface, okay? So then from here, again, you would put weight right in front of you, think squeeze the glutes, pressure in your belly, pelvis in the right tilt, and then think down, back up. So you can see there, it's a little bit easier to get depth from this position with those heels elevated. Going heels elevated also makes you use, so just training wise, makes you engage just a little bit different muscles. You can probably feel it in your quads just a little bit more rather than regular squatting with your heels flat. So if training wise, you're trying to look for a little bit different muscle group to engage, these are a great exercise to do also without, if you do get depth also. So good to mix them in also. Okay, so now, once you've mastered your goblet squat, okay, we can move to the bar, okay? So everything we just did with goblet squats, so the banded squats, putting the ball underneath you, the heels elevated, these are all great drills, great exercises to do with the bar on your back as well. So when we move over to the bar on your back, we're thinking the exact same setup as what we were with the goblet squat, okay? So when we're going, only difference, obviously, is the bar is on your back rather than you holding the weight in your front. So when you get set up with the bar on your back, okay, I always hold about a thumb's length away. So all bars have a smooth and a rough on the bar. That's kind of how you know where to line up in the center of the bar, okay? So I always go about a thumb's length away and then wrap under. Everyone will be different on that depending on how broad they are, okay? Then with the bar on your back. So all kids, whenever they're first learning to squat, they will say the bar on their back feels uncomfortable. So when placing the bar on your back, I always teach kids, okay, you've got the bone here, okay, we obviously don't want it to lay on that bone that hurts, and you also don't want to lay it on your spine up a little bit higher on your neck. So there's a meaty spot on your upper back here. That's where you kind of want that bar to place, okay? No matter what, it's just gonna take time to adjust to having the bar on their back, okay? So then, from here, we'll get in position here. We'll go underneath the bar, get that positioned on the back. Here, go ahead and unrack it and walk out. Now from here, setup now is the exact same as what we talked about with the goblet squat. So we're engaging the feet, squeezing our booty, thinking our pelvis in the right position, pressure in the belly. Now the only other thing that you want to think that's going to help you stay engaged is with our upper body here. When we get ready to squat, part of thinking staying tight, we want to feel like we are pulling the bar with our arms, like we are almost bending the bar over our back. So that is going to help us stay tight with our upper body, help you engage your core more, okay? So then from here, we go ahead and go through the motion, squat down and back up, okay? So again, it's here, stay nice and tight, squat down, back up, okay? Then just walk in and re-rack it, okay? So then, like I said, with the squats, okay, very, very similar to the goblet squats that we did over here, okay? You can mix in heels elevated. Again, that's a great exercise, great lift. You can put the band around the knees with the bar on your back as well. You can put something underneath you, just so that way you're trying to get to the right depth. That way you know as you're learning, okay? Okay, great. So we've now discussed deadlift and squat. In my opinion, every athlete should be deadlifting and should be squatting, okay? Those are two of the very, very biggest main lifts that you can do. So if you aren't doing those, start getting those in your program. Awesome, guys. If you have any questions, leave me a comment below. Otherwise, like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Thanks, guys.